From missile tests gone wrong to rocket launchers, asteroids, and comets, oh my! Let's get right into this list. Starting off in our number 10 spot, we have the missile test. I personally subscribe to the idea that there probably aren't any areas of space that would be a good place to blow something up, but apparently, really recently, Russia chose a really bad one. On November 15th, just weeks ago, a missile test occurred just a short 300 miles above Earth, and when the 4,850-pound satellite exploded, it created a cloud of fragments that set off the emergency response on the International Space Station, which was a little too close for comfort. Like, man, there are people on there who are just trying to like grow a pepper and prove the Earth is round and stuff. The astronauts aboard awoke from their sleep to probably the most frightening alarm they've ever heard in their lives, and had to prepare to possibly and quickly evacuate the space outpost. Luckily, they are all fine, but the explosion created a ton of orbital debris now that we are going to see the consequences of for the next few decades. We add more debris into the already crowded orbit of Earth faster than we clear it up, which creates problems for future spacecrafts and creates more potential collisions that need to be avoided at all costs. In our number 9 spot today, we have 99942 APOPHIS. This little asteroid has a diameter of about 1/5 of a mile, and it is currently sitting at number 3 on the Palermo scale. This is something I'll refer to again today, so let's just talk about it real quick. The Palermo Technical Impact Scale is a scale that is used by astronomers to rate the potential risk and hazard of impact of a near-Earth object, or an NEO. It used the combined information and data of the probability of impact coupled with the estimated kinetic yield, which basically just shows us how likely and how badly an asteroid would mess us up, re the dinosaurs. So, back to APOPHIS. This asteroid is at rank number 3, so it's the third thing we gotta worry about. When it was discovered in 2004, astronomers gave it a 1 in 60 chance of striking Earth in May of 2029 on Friday the 13th of all days. If it doesn't strike Earth, with the naked eye we'll be able to see it pass at a distance of roughly 18,600 miles, but if it does strike Earth, we'll also be able to see it with the naked eye, just at a much closer distance. Because of how close this passing asteroid is going to be, if the asteroid passes us at a slightly different angle than current predictions, there is the possibility of collision in 2036 or 2069. In our number 8 spot today, we have the Swift-Tuttle Comet. This is obviously a comet, and while it isn't exactly orbiting Earth, it is in an orbit that causes it to make repeated close approaches to both us here on Earth as well as our sweet little moon. Here's the thing, we keep trying to calculate the next passage of the comet. I say we like I'm doing any kind of calculating. Experts keep trying to calculate the next passage of the comet, but it's always off by like 15-ish days. What's also super cool is that the nucleus of this comet is quite large, which is truly concerning for us. That's not the cool part, but when experts realized that, they started looking back through texts and documents of the past to see if this comet had been observed before, and it seems like it had been in 69 BC and 188 AD. That is so cool! The good news is that for now, if all the calculations are correct, we don't have to worry about anything in our lifetime. Sorry to those living in the year 3000 though. In our number 7 spot today, we have ENVISAT. This was a large environmental satellite that was launched by the European Space Agency on March 1st, 2002, and it was the world's largest civilian Earth observation satellite. It lasted for twice its expected life length as it monitored the environmental health of Earth for a decade, but in April of 2012, without any warning, it totally stopped all communications. This means that its status and location are completely unknown. The size of this thing is one of the main concerning points of this, as it is 85 by 32 feet and weighs a common cool 18,000 pounds. Since we don't know where it is and have no control over it, it's simply up to space and the laws of physics now. It is predicted that the uncontrolled descent of the satellite to Earth will likely take place over the next 150 years or so, and it threatens the risk of injury and damage. There's also a 15 to 30% chance that it'll collide with other space junk and cause a major fragmentation event. In our number 6 spot today, we have 29075. Okay, we talked about number 3 on that scale, so are you ready for number 1? On the Palermo scale, for the last several years, the asteroid 29075 has been given the highest rating because of its large size, coming in with a diameter about 2/3 of a mile. This would have absolutely devastating effects on the biosphere and climate if it were to strike Earth, again, re the dinosaurs. There's good news about this one though. If it does hit Earth, we'll all be long gone and we will miss it entirely. The chance of an encounter doesn't get too close for comfort until 2880, so for now, we're in the clear. In our lifetime, we only have to worry about, well, a bunch of other things on this list, and student debt. In our number 5 spot today we have the Hubble Space Telescope. The Hubble Space Telescope was launched in 1990 by NASA in cooperation with the European Space Agency, and together they placed the very first space observatory into orbit. Something that we only dreamed of for hundreds of years finally accomplished. Since 1990, the Hubble has produced over 1.3 million images of the solar system, the stars, and the galaxies. It is one of the most incredible scientific creations in terms of space exploration, and it really set the tone for all of the advancements we've had since. It's been in orbit for a long time, and the 27,000-pound solar-powered observatory is coming close to retirement, and that means that NASA has a couple of options. They can either craft up a controlled return to Earth, they can boost it higher into orbit, or they can try to design a new mission to increase the longevity of the scope. But basically, they need to make their minds up, because the longer it stays in orbit, the more it decays due to Earth's pull. This could have disastrous results, as an uncontrolled re-entry can occur sometime between 2028 and 2030. Imagine, the thing that's helped us so much turns its back on us. And so it begins, the robot takeover. In our number 4 spot today we have 2020 CD3. In February of 2020, astronomers found 2020 CD3, which is a tiny near-Earth asteroid or mini-moon that orbits the Sun, but it does make really close approaches to our Earth-Moon system, and it can even temporarily enter Earth's orbit. It is the second temporary satellite of Earth discovered in situ. Basically, on its trajectory, this asteroid was captured by Earth around 2016 or 2017, but it likely escaped the gravitational influence of Earth around May 2020. Even the asteroid didn't want to stick around for the pandemic. 2020 CD3 is likely to make another close pass at Earth in 2044, but it hopefully won't be captured by Earth this time because of its greater approach distance. While this little thing is flying through space and makes its nice little frequent visits to us, the good news is that it is relatively small in terms of asteroids, so it's not like an imminent threat to humanity yet. In our number 3 spot today we have KOSMOS 1818. Despite the name, this was a nuclear spy satellite that was launched by the Soviet Union in 1987. By this time there was already another nuclear satellite that had fallen out of orbit and left a trail of radioactive debris over Canada, but we said, what the hell, the Canadians began apologizing to us for some reason, so let's just try it again. The Soviet Union launched KOSMOS 1818 into higher orbit than the previous one to try and avoid another similar situation, but in 2008 that proved to not work at all when the satellite began breaking down and leaking what is thought to be coolant. The breakdown is thought to have occurred from either some kind of a collision or simply just a system failure. According to Russian sources, at the moment the satellite is expected to simply burn up in the atmosphere of Earth when it leaves orbit in 2045, but I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little suspicious about this. It seems like it can't just be that simple, but hey, I'm not Bill Nye, so what do I know? In our number 2 spot today we have SNAP 10A. This nuclear fission satellite was the first nuclear reactor placed into orbit, and it was part of a project that the US government was conducting where they were experimenting with power production in space. The SNAP stands for System for Nuclear Auxiliary Power. The satellite was launched in 1965 but was less than successful when it performed for merely 43 days before quitting out because of an electric system failure. So here's where things get a little concerning. The satellite is still currently in orbit, and it's expected to stay there for the next 3,000 years, which is great and happy and exciting unless you're trying to travel through its orbit. But since none of us are astronauts and don't have that problem, we're good unless it collides with something else, which it is very vulnerable to do. This would potentially cause nuclear radiation to be released. Yeah, I mean, have you heard of Chernobyl? In our number 1 spot today we have SL-16RB. That probably sounds like a name I just made up, but this is the name of a bunch of rocket boosters that are currently in the orbit of Earth. Most of them were launched by Russia and the Soviet Union between 1989 and 2007, and each booster weighs 9,000 kilograms and orbits at an altitude of 800 kilometers. Here's where this all becomes an issue though. There's 20 of these things in orbit, and should 2 of them collide, well, the resulting debris would be absolutely catastrophic. 2 9,000 kilogram objects colliding would double the low Earth orbit debris, and as we already know, the amount we already have is a huge problem. Right now these boosters are all orbiting together in clusters, but it's really a roll of the dice each year. The probability of collision goes up. So yeah, things we don't normally talk about are actually pretty terrifying. Alright guys, that has been our list for today. Thank you so much for checking it out. I've been your host today, Olivia Kozlowski, and I'll see you next time. Bye!